The second movie of a trilogy always has it rough. The first movie sets everything up, the third movie wraps everything up. But what does the second movie do? Just fills time for 2 hours and takes up space in the inevitable DVD box set. Speaking of which, guess what came in my Gundam DVD box set? Mobile Suit Gundam 2, Soldiers of Sorrow. The movie begins right where the first one left off. Lieutenant Matilda is aboard White Base for repairs and Amuro is totally in love with her, as is every single man aboard White Base. In a scene that's not suggestive at all, Kai and another crew member polish their gun barrels while discussing what a babe Matilda is. This causes Frau Bo to get a little bit clingy, literally, and she ends up taking out her frustrations on Haro. Up on the bridge, they spot a lone enemy mobile suit, and Sayla decides this is her chance to find out what happened to Char, her long-lost brother, so she steals the Gundam and tries to make contact with the enemy. But it turns out she's really terrible at piloting the Gundam. I mean, really terrible. Thanks to Amuro's timely intervention, they actually manage to take a Zeon prisoner. Sayla gets thrown in the brig for stealing the Gundam, and this gives her a chance to ask the prisoner about Char, which triggers a flashback to the day her brother left home. Oh god, my ears. Meanwhile, Kika, one of the kids who lives aboard White Base, has managed to break the sink, and it's up to Amuro to fix it. No one will be admitted during the thrilling plumbing repair scene. The prisoner escapes thanks to an explosive hidden in his tooth. Does anyone else remember Dune? He then radios his boss, Rambaral, who moves in for the attack. For no reason at all, Amuro decides to go out in the gun tank rather than the Gundam to deal with the threat. When the battle's over, he takes a nap in the hangar bay, like you do, and happens to overhear Mirai and Bright talking about him. Bright doesn't think they can trust Amuro to pilot the Gundam because he's too irrational and childish. Amuro responds to these accusations by crying and running away. Since he doesn't feel appreciated, Amuro deserts White Base, and he takes the Gundam with him. Why? What possible use could you have in civilian life for a 50-foot-tall killer robot? Amuro buries the Gundam in the desert sand. Yeah, it'll be fine, it's just billions of dollars worth of delicate machinery. And we're treated to an easy listening montage of him wandering the desert. And of course, Frau Bo is following him. Frau, honey, if you have to stalk a man across 20 miles of desert, he's just not that into you. Amuro stops for water in a nearby town and runs into Zeon troops, including Rambaral and his wife Haman. The troops find Frau Bo lurking around, but they're not sure if she's a Federation officer because she doesn't wear the full uniform. While we're on the subject, why doesn't Frau Bo wear pants? This isn't like Star Trek where all the women wear miniskirts, she is the only one not wearing pants. Rambaral lets Frau and Amuro go, but not before this uncomfortable moment. It's okay, Amuro really did have a gun in his pocket. Ramba's men follow Frau Bo back to White Base and attack, and Amuro feels just guilty enough to come and save the day in the Gundam. Rambaral and his men board White Base and start machine gunning everyone in sight, but Rambaral gets distracted when he sees Sayla. He recognizes Sayla because she's actually Lady Artesia, the daughter of Zeon Daikun. Now, the bad guys are called the Principality of Zeon after Zeon Daikun, but their leader is actually Daikun Zabi. Zeon Daikun is long dead. Confused yet? But Rambaral pays the price for all that reminiscing, and Ryu manages to wing him with an assault rifle. Out of options, Rambaral takes his own life with a grenade. Okay, after Garma, this is the second major antagonist who killed himself. I'm sensing a theme here. Matilda shows up again with a new plane for Sayla, the core booster, but Zeon forces close in and she falls victim to a giant robot haymaker. My father went the same way. Rambaral's wife returns, seeking vengeance, and she nearly kills Amuro. But an injured Ryu saves Amuro at the last second with a kamikaze run. Oh, so the only black guy is the one who dies. Classy. In memoriam of those lost, the kids sprinkle flowers on the battlefield, and all hands give an honorary salute. Even Haro gets in on the action. Later, White Base flies over Pippi Longstocking's house, and it turns out she's an enemy spy. She sends word of White Base's location to Char, who happens to be stationed nearby. Oh, look who finally decided to join us. The movie started an hour ago. General Santa Claus shows up to give White Base their new orders. They're supposed to go to Jabro Base in South America. You know, the same place they were ordered to go at the beginning of the first movie. In a retread of Amuro's subplot, Kai deserts and immediately comes back. But during his 10-second retirement, he befriends the enemy spy Miharu. Miharu spies for Zeon to support her brother and sister, and her latest assignment is to infiltrate White Base. Kai actually helps her with this, but she has a change of heart when she sees there are children aboard the ship. So she and Kai head out in a plane called the Gunperry to take out the attacking Zeon forces. But she stands too close to a missile and is blown to her death. I think that qualifies her for a Darwin Award. So now that Kai's had his fair share of misery, White Base finally arrives at Jabro Base in South America. The kids immediately wander off and discover a bunch of brand new mass production Gundams called GIMs. They also run into a team of Zeon spies who are there to sabotage the GIMs, led by, who else? Char. Notice that everybody else on the team is wearing ninja outfits, but Char is just dressed like normal. Hey, you find a look that works for you. So, after putting it off for 2 solid hours, Char and Amuro finally fight one more time. For about a minute, then Char runs away. White Base gets a new crew member to replace the deceased Ryu, the irascible Slayer Law. Does Sayla have another long-lost brother? The Federation has decided to take the fight to Zeon, so White Base is off to outer space once again. So that was Soldiers of Sorrow. In my opinion, it's a step up from the first movie. It tells a slightly more coherent plot, and the story actually ends at an organic breaking point. There's still some stuff from the series that I don't feel needed to be in the movie. Maharu's subplot with Kai comes to mind. But unlike the first movie, I didn't feel like I was watching an endless series of random events. So will the Gundam movies continue to improve? Or will everything go south the minute they leave the atmosphere? Find out next time in my review of Mobile Suit Gundam 3: Encounters in Space.